What's cracking, guys? Omar Aesop here with a cool video when it comes to the sumo deadlift, talking about two things: hips shooting up, how to prevent that, hips coming closer to the bar, and finally the function of the lats as it pertains to the deadlift. I got a special guest who's going to be helping me out. Jazz, why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Jazz and I roll hard as fuck.
Look at that.
Whoa.
Rolls hard as fuck. So you've been our coaching client, part of Ascendant Athletics, for a bit. When you started, we noticed some things when it came to your deadlift form. Now you've been improving, you've been making some gains. What are we going to be talking about, though? What have been the big differences when it comes to your deadlift?
So one of the big issues is my hips were shooting up because I was starting from too low of a position. I wasn't engaging my lats enough, and
that's pretty
bar
much
was
it.
drifting in front.
Yeah, those things are all related.
Right.
So Jazz is a really good example because you have what I would say like a deadlift a lot of people can relate to, right? Like not too high, not too low.
Yeah.
And we can really see that difference when it comes to the hip extension and when it comes to lats. You just got those big lats, right? They get the hose in the
They're
sack.
massive. My
right?
lats are.
Say it. Lats to get the what?
My lats get the hose in the sack.
You can quote her on that. So Jazz is actually a really good example of an individual when it comes to the deadlift that the bar will drift in front of her when the weight gets heavier. There's multiple different factors behind that. The first thing that I want to note is that when you first start deadlifting, that already was an issue. There's two things I want to talk about. The main one is the function of the lats when it comes to the deadlift. The second thing I want to talk about, hip position, how really when it comes to every individual, because we're talking about a 3D plane here, how the hips move, right, the moment arm, it depends upon the individual, how wide their stance is going to be, how far they turn out their feet, right, how high their hip is. But what you don't want to do, what we noted with Jazz when she first started deadlifting, and we'll have you demonstrate now, is that her hips were far too low, right? If we got a side angle here, she essentially would be squatting the weight up. And now you do see some very good lifters, like Dan Green, as an example, with their hips quite low. But once she would pick up the weight, what would happen, her hips will tend to shoot back, the bar then would drift far in front of her, and from there, it's really hard to lock it out. Good, set it down. There's two main problems. One, if she broke the floor, then the bar would drift further and further away. So from here, if we back up a little bit, just with your feet, back here, the bar would drift further and further away, and then a lockout, it becomes really, really hard. So when the bar shoots in front of her, it becomes harder and harder to lock out that weight, to get that hip extension, right? It's a further distance away. So for every individual, they have to find the optimal height with which to pull from when it comes to the sumo. And this depends on leverages, where they're strong at. Typically, if you see someone like fail the deadlift at the bottom, the sumo deadlift, there's a couple different areas that can be weak. If your quads are completely garbage, it can be your quads. But just looking at someone's anatomy, how their morphology, like how they're set up, their lifting and whatnot, with Jazz, if she sets up close to the bar, but instead of squatting the weight down, so let's get a side angle here. When she squats instead with the weight down, so stay upright and squat down, from here, as opposed to starting with her hips higher, so start lower. So from this position here, she's going to shift her hips up a little bit higher. This is the position that we found will work best with her. Why? Because when she picks up the weight, the bar doesn't drift forward. She keeps it tight to the body. She's able to break the ground effectively and push the hips in. Every individual will be different. I could give pros and cons, like Silent Mike is an example of an individual that pulls with a higher hip position. Dan Green's someone that pulls with a lower hip position. But really the function of what we want to focus on when it comes to the deadlift is that the deadlift is not a squat. It's all about the hip hinge. So if we squat down in a straight line, a straight vertical line, just go ahead and squat down, right? Take number two, how we determine stance width, or how we determine how high the hips should be is essentially this. Here's a great rule. Your hips should get closer and closer to the bar. Here's what we don't want to see. So let's say an individual squats two upright down in order to sumo deadlift, and when they pick up the weight, it's all their quads, they come up, 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 but their hips right here, their hips are too far away from the bar. In order to complete that final hip extension right there to lock it out, go ahead and lock it out, takes a lot of work, because right now we place all the emphasis on the legs, on the quads, we're loading up the posterior chain, and then for that final bit, when you come up, that's going to be a really hard lockout. Instead, what we want to do, we want to have that hip extension. We want the hips coming closer to the bar. How do we determine that? Well, when you pick up a weight, or when you see an individual deadlift, sumo deadlift, they'll tend to find when they pick up the weight a more optimal position. So if they start too low, what you're going to do, you're going to start low, and then the hips are going to rise into that good position when you pick it up. Go ahead and pick it up. So hips are going to start low, and then they're going to rise up. You're going to see that even when she begins to pull, the hips will shoot up automatically a little bit higher. So for Jazz, one of the main problems for her body, for where she's strong and whatnot, she was starting too low, too upright, and then at the end, the bar would drift forward, and then what would happen, her hips would shoot up, and to lock out would be hard. If she broke the floor, okay, sometimes you wouldn't break the floor, but then a lockout would be unnecessarily hard. The second thing we want to talk about, however, is that when you find that optimal place, that hip height, we want to talk about the lats, utilizing the lats in order to keep the bar close to your body. So demonstrating again, show me a garbage rep where you allow the bar to drift too far away from you. Remember this, guys, the further away the bar is from the hips, the harder it's going to be to deadlift it. So she's going to pick it up from this position right there and lock it out, because I know that's hard, and good, and bring it down. As the bar gets further and further away, the hips are shooting back, the bar's going further ahead. That distance actually is increasing over time. That lockout is going to be horrible. She's going to fail. Let's talk about utilizing the lats in order to deadlift more weight. The function of the lats, one of the functions actually, as we talk about shoulder extension. That means we know with pull downs, we're talking about pulling the weight down like so. That is actually one of the functions. And you can utilize the deadlifts effectively in kind of an isometric way when deadlifting in order to keep the bar close to your body. What utilizing lats correctly is going to do when you pull and keep it tight, keep the bar tight with your body, utilizing your lats, is that the bar is no longer going to drift in front of you. It's going to keep close to your midline right here. And as you pull, the weight is actually going to be closer. It's going to be easier to get that hip extension. If you don't know what that feels like, we're going to go over a drill right now that's super, super simple. Every bro in the gym knows this, that you want to have wide lats, right? You want to have you have shit underneath your armpits. You're walking around. So let's use a cue right here. When an individual goes to deadlift, before they even deadlift, they're going to have their hands down to get the sensation, and put your hand right down here like so. Putting your hand here, they're going to push back like so. So that's one of the functions, right? From here, right here is shoulder extension. So we get that same thing again. And the lat is actually doing the work right here. This guy right here, the lat, which you actually do have a lat right here, is doing the work. It's small, but it's significant. It's doing the work. So this right here, the shoulder extension, keeping the bar close to the body, is going to prevent it from drifting forward. If you're not tight right here, so don't be tight, what's going to happen is the arm is going to drift forward as you pick it up. You're going to be loose like so, and that's going to also further exacerbate the hip shooting up. So they're actually really twofold, right? Hips will shoot up due to poor position, and then because you're not tight with the lats, you're not pulling the bar into your body with your lats, then the bar drifts further and further forward. The bottom line is when it comes time to lock out, you're fucked. Now, let's make it easier, right, for us. Let's lift with proper power. The cue we're gonna try and use is to pull the bar, especially when it comes to the sumo deadlift, where we want it close to the shins right here. We're gonna try and pull the bar into the body instead. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna, from here, that same idea, same shoulder extension, you're gonna keep the bar close by pulling it in as you pick up. And then from this position here, you're gonna thrust with the lats down here and with the glutes forward. Go ahead. Let's see some clean reps now. Very clean reps. Sit start at a good height. Good. And as you see the bar keep going, bang it like 4 reps. The bar gets closer and closer to her hips as she continues to pull. Bar staying very close. Keep going. 2 more. And right here, these lats are keeping the bar tight and close to her body. Relax. 1 more rep. Except this time, when you do the rep, don't pick it up yet, you're actually not going to keep your lats tight, and we're going to see the difference as the bar shoots up. So just show us a garbage rep. So here, as you saw that right there, good, put it down. As you saw that, stand up. You rounded forward a little bit like so with the shoulders. From there, the bar's going to drift forward. It makes it a lot harder, both from the ground and also to lock it out. When it comes to the sumo deadlift, it's a pretty technical lift, so you want to be in the optimal position to pull the most amount of weight. Basically, you want to make it as easy as possible for yourself. We can show this with a drill, getting tight, pulling the lats, utilizing lats to keep the bar close. You should be able, when you set up for both a conventional and for a sumo deadlift, as you get tight with lightweight, like how much do you weigh?
120?
Yes, you weigh like 120 pounds. We got like 132 pounds on the bar. You should be able, when you set up, when you get tight, you get so tight, you pull the bar in, and when you push the hips forward to get that hip extension, those 2 things at once, pulling the bar tight and pushing the hips forward, before you even go to pick it up, just getting tight, the bar actually should be able to leave the ground just to how tight you get.
Right.
So let's get in position right here. Show how you could pick up the bar without even beginning the deadlifts, just by getting tight. So using the arms as hooks, she's gonna get tight, and from that position, good, set it down. Just pulling the bar into herself, relax, and do it 1 more time. Good, and set it down, and relax, good. As you can tell, did you even begin deadlifting?
No.
No, she was pulling herself into position. So again, guys, It's shoulder extension, so arms are coming down close to the body. The lats are being flared, they're keeping it tight. Two things, you're pulling against it, you're pulling yourself into position, and then you're readying the hips to shoot forward, right, to come towards the bar. If you want to use the cue fuck in the bar, that totally works. So the two things you want to think about, right, in order to prevent the hips potentially from shooting up and making it a harder lift than possible, is you want to find that optimal hip position, how high you're starting. The cue or the key for you that you should observe is that your hips should get closer and closer to the bar, never further away. And the second thing is that you want to utilize the lats effectively. Most people don't do this at all. By keeping the bar closer to you, think about that shoulder extension right here. You keep it and pulling the bar down. You should be getting so tight that as you begin to pick the bar off the ground with lighter loads, the bar actually will almost pick up off the ground, because that's how much force you're exerting against the bar to pull yourself into position. As another example to show someone that actually I feel has a good sumo deadlift form, pulling themselves into position to see how far they can lift the weight before actually deadlifting. We're gonna get my half brother right here, Daniel Tran. Pull yourself into position right now using just the bar and your lats. So here, when he gets ready to pull, watch this. When he pulls, go ahead. As he goes to lift up, just by pulling himself into position, the bar will lift off of the ground. That's from here, go again one more time. So lats, good, good. And set it down, perfect. And that's because right here, he's using the lats to keep the bar tight into him, so he's pulling it, he's flaring it, and then pulling it in, and then using the hips, he's ready to get that hip extension. Those two things at once are gonna make the bar path travel a lot straighter, and it's gonna make it easier to break the floor and also lock out. Lats are pulling the bar in, and then the hip extension, the hips are getting ready to push forward, to come closer to the bar. Well guys, that's the video. Jazz, thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at youtube.com/Jazmine Garcia Fitness, and on Instagram it is JazzyPoo with 3 O's.
Nailed that. What would you say your best tip or your best takeaway point when it comes to the sumo deadlift has been? Just to restate it.
I mean, all of it, but if
all of the above.
All of the above. But for me, the biggest thing was engaging my lats, because it has been a very, very frequent issue for the bar to drift in front of me. So now that I have that, it's going to be a lot easier to keep that bar path really straight and in line.
Those
with
lats.
my body.
Check out her channel. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked the video, make sure to like the damn video, and I'll be seeing all you guys, my rascals, in that next video. Peace.